Hi. So today the main topic is it's actually the routing in web client. The first you have to understand about routing thing, and this is the topic that also speak in front of my class, but my professor doesn't like it. I don't know why, but whatever. So why do we need routing? And the reason the routing is kind of important is because it is basically associated with the user navigation of it. Most first thing the user will encounter is just the look the entry location. Example, your domain.com. So that's gonna be your first landing page or whatever stuff. So that's the routing. And if user clicks your domain.com, like, oh wow, so that's our routing. So this based on this location user, and if user clicks this kind of navigation button, it has to go to the end about page, and the web server should give the HTML CSS JavaScript to that associate with the about page. But here's the thing, um, but thing is that ba- if you look at the like without single page application without React, you have to make the HTML per this location. Since this was kind of really a hard part that we faced, because when I click some kind of navigation to go to about page, and that was really slow and there's loading spinner, so that could leads the user bad user experience. So what our web client engineer did was, why don't we as integrate with the SPA single page application? The single page application is it's really instant. There's no loading between this navigation, because in fact that we are also doing navigation part using JavaScript. So rather than going to like clicking and this HTML and get the HTML part, since client side rendering basically means that I already get the all of the JavaScript HTML at the first time, so I don't have to request the HTML CSS JavaScript when I visit the about page. So since this due to this kind of environment, we don't have to make some kind of dry HTML file for the about page, because single client side rendering with this SPA means that there's only HTML for the entry point, entry URL. The about page whatever URL will be no HTML file, because basically we are reusing HTML, but we are appending the DOM using JavaScript. So that's it. We don't have to think about the which part has to be navigated. We don't have to think about which location has to be made it. But here's the thing. So here's the thing. The most bad part was most bad part was um bad part was um is since it's really heavily relied on the client has to um wait when they first build in the website. The client has to wait this bunch of JavaScript that inside in the whatever on whatever location of it. So even you waiting for this part, you could get the JavaScript from here in the CSS file. So that could lead us a problem, because if you look at the how rendering part in the website, and there's only one thread for the rendering the website, which is called the main thread. And if this JavaScript is long, because basically the clients are rendering means that okay, there's some JavaScript and there's some kind of HTML, but since we're trying to just make make JavaScript make no sorry make HTML using JavaScript. So we only have minimal HTML, and the other thing is a bunch of JavaScript. And this JavaScript, after JavaScript, there's gonna be HTML being made from the JavaScript. But since this JavaScript is long, if this JavaScript is long, the HTML rendering will be slow, and user will just look at the white page, and there's kind of problem of this the client side rendering. So that's kind of really integrate the routing part. The people think that single page application is just the client side rendering. If I just use React, that's kind of that's SPA. But in fact, it's not, because the reason why it calls the SPA, because in the client side rendering, if we use some kind of JavaScript routing library, and if we outage together, that's called the SPA, since because we only need entry HTML file when deploy it. There's no bunch of HTML for the other location of it. But since this could lead into some kind of problem that you just have to wait till JavaScript start parsing and make HTML dump, because class-side rendering, it basically means that, well, let JavaScript do everything. Let JavaScript make HTML, whatever, do the style stuff, and this could lead into some kind of latency to make the website. And if there's latency, user will leave your web page, and that could give your bad effect of your web page, and your product owner will don't like this kind of problem. And this is kind of really the problem of it. And now we use some kind of modern web framework to handle this issue. Example, Next.js page loader make the HTML file when we're trying to use React. So when you're using React, so when in the dev mode, when you're trying to open the localhost, we might think that it's already just like client-side rendering. There's no other HTML file. There's only one HTML file. But in fact, if we try to build it, the Next.js build the pre-render HTML rather than the making JavaScript, just JavaScript. So because the reason why we do this is because we some kind of face something that, well, even though making some kind of simple website without interactivity requires JavaScript, right? Because we use JavaScript to build the HTML file. Well, rather than doing it at runtime, let's do it at the build time, so you shouldn't have to do it at the runtime. We could reduce this latency problem. And also, let's try to make domain HTML file at the build time based on the domain, but seems like there's a JavaScript, because JavaScript could attach this HTMLs based on this location. So the first thing was we can split this kind of HTML file based on this location, based on the URL path that we already defined. And that's kind of really good, because we only can fetch the minimal and compact, or the JavaScript when we need it. For example, that about page only needs some kind of little JavaScript, so we can just get rid of JavaScript at the runtime, because HTML is already made it from the build time. So that's kind of really routing part of the web client. Like before, it was like just the normal routing, and next is we use JavaScript to make some kind of only one HTML and do whatever routing stuff. And now we of course use JavaScript, but we also split into HTML file based on the URL, the location that we predefined, and we also include with the JavaScript loading framework, so we don't have to think about the loading problem. So that's really the history of loading in the web client. So this is it. Have a nice day. See you next time. Bye bye.